Right, WWA Eruption, the next World Wrestling All-Stars pay-per-view taking place on April 13th, 2002 in Melbourne, Australia. This one features a mini-tournament to crown a new international cruiserweight champion, seeing as Eddie Guerrero went back to WWF. New WWA champion Nathan Jones defends his championship against Scott Steiner, and I hope we have all the other mediocre nonsense that makes WWA shows so oddly compelling. The entranceway already provides us with a good laugh. There's a giant volcano that looks like it was made for a school play, and look, it's actually erupting. Hot lava's flying everywhere. Sid Vicious is in the building, and apparently Sid's the new WWA commissioner. Bret Hart suffered a stroke around this time period, and the next time we'll see the Hitman is in the next WWA event. Jeremy Borash and Disco Inferno provide commentary for this show, and a hardcore Disco Inferno fan brought a sign to show his support. We kick off with the most awkward ring announcing you'll ever see and hear in your life. Our guy here, who looks like he should be calling scores in a darts match, calls the event an extravaganza.
The World Wrestling All-Star Wrestling Extravaganza.
I guarantee there's a strain out there that's actually called extravaganza. He then botches the name of the company he works for.
World Wrestling All-Star Association.
And if that's not enough, he invites our commentators to come down to ringside, even though the commentators are already at ringside.
Jeremy Borash!
He's right here. Right here.
Both Borash and Disco look extremely confused, and it gets to the point where Jeremy actually looks a little angry. Our opening bout is a Cruiserweight Tournament semi-final match, Nova versus AJ Styles. A slugfest starts us off before Nova throws himself into AJ at the corner. We then see a head scissor takedown, and AJ bangs his head off the turnbuckle pad. The two then share shoulder blocks as I begin to notice how bad the production is for this show. I'm not a fan of the ringside camera angles being used here, and also I must apologise for the video quality. This was the best version I could find of this show, and I've ordered a DVD of the next show because the only version of WWA Retribution online looks absolutely terrible. AJ pulls off a Hurricane Rana while lying on the canvas. Yeah, work that one out. And Nova shows he's no slouch either with this powerbomb facebuster. AJ takes an enziguri and a gutbuster before Nova applies the Twisted Sister. Disco says he had a girlfriend do this to him once, and I bet Disco topped out too. AJ comes back with a great looking spinning back kick, but Nova replies with an equally impressive boot to the face. A swanton bomb from Nova misses though, and our match ends with a Styles clash from AJ. A good, if not terribly short match, though it is understandable seeing as this is part of a tournament. Disco says he's never seen the Styles clash before, confirming that he didn't pay any attention to AJ's previous matches in WWA. Scott Steiner arrives to the building with Midajah, while back in the ring we've got the Starettes doing a dance routine. It looks like the WWA brought in a bunch of new dancers, seeing as we only had 3 in the last pay-per-view. Sid Vicious comes out wearing a suit and using a cane to help him get around. Remember, the last time Sid was in a wrestling ring, he got his leg snapped in half. Sid appreciates the fan reaction, even though the audience for this show has been pretty quiet. The big man thanks Andrew McManus for giving him a chance. He never thought he'd step foot in a ring again. Sid announces the Scott Steiner vs Nathan Jones match, even though the commentators already announced it at the top of the show. And yeah, kinda flat if I'm honest. Next we have the second Cruiserweight Tournament semi-final match, Jerry Lynn vs Chucky Chaos. And what in the name of Hawk from Cobra Kai is going on here? Reading up on this guy, he apparently has his very own match type called the COWS, Chuck's own wrestling show. And in one of these matches, Chucky plays the wrestler, the referee, and the ring announcer. I'm sure these matches are wonderful. He fancies himself as a high flyer as he takes Lynn out with a springboard corkscrew attack, but back in the ring, Lynn pulls off a draping famouser. A clothesline then floors Hawk before Jerry Flynn, without an F, signals for the cradle piledriver, and that's it all over. Jerry Lynn takes on AJ Styles in the tournament finals. Disco's complaining about his crappy headset on commentary. He says he can't hear Jeremy, and Borat says they're trying their best out here. I mean, highlighting how crappy and low budget everything isn't really the best idea, is it? We have another Puppet versus Teo match next, and Puppet endears himself to the audience by calling them a bunch of dirty Aussies. So in comes Teo with a sneak attack. Teo once again humps Puppet's face, so I'm guessing this was one of his patented signature moves. He then headbutts his opponent in the dick, and Disco wonders what little people have down there. Seriously, he asked that question. Puppet throws a bunch of chairs into the ring, he sets them up for a suplex spot. Teo takes the move, and I don't know man, it didn't really have the same impact, did it? Teo counters a fireman's carry with a reverse DDT. The two then botch a blockbuster attempt and Disco says Teo's a low flyer. Teo then sets a garbage can in the corner, but it's he who takes the bump. And this exciting hot action continues with a Vader bomb from Puppet and a Swanton bomb from Teo. After having more fun with a garbage can and a steel chair, Teo goes out to grab a ladder. He sets it up and again the spot didn't look that good, but you kinda give it a pass for obvious reasons. Teo wins via pinfall and there you have it, absolute dog shit. Teo runs past the giant paper volcano and backstage he decides to slap Midajah's ass while calling himself the real big bad booty daddy. I've got nothing. Riveting stuff from World Wrestling All-Stars. Stevie Ray and Buff Bagwell team up to take on Ernest Miller and Brian Christopher. Brian is not using his Too Cool music anymore, which means WWA didn't buy a license for it last time around. We get the usual Buff Bagwell time wasting routine before he locks up with Grandmaster Sexay. Christopher pulls off a hip toss and a running bulldog before tagging out, and Bagwell falls victim to a double back elbow, a staple for tag team partners who have never tagged up before. The cat goes low for a karate chop to the neck, but Buff answers with a swinging neck breaker before tagging in Stevie Ray. Stevie Ray keeps it incredibly simple with kicks and punches, and the only time he leaves his feet is when taking a DDT from Brian Christopher. Grandmaster Sexay then hits Buff with a standing sidekick before going upstairs, but Stevie Ray catches him out and Brian gets slammed to the mat before taking what can only be described as an ass bomb. In comes Buff Daddy. The offense is again incredibly simple with an Irish whip to the corner followed by some chin abuse. Brian breaks free and both he and Buff go down after a double clothesline. So in comes Stevie Ray and Ernest Miller, and I can't stress enough how little actual wrestling's been going on in this match. Everyone here except Brian Christopher is completely phoning it in, and I highly doubt McManus was standing in the back waiting to discipline guys for bad performances. The cat has to walk back a few steps when Buff tries a sunset flip. My god. Stevie Ray comes back in, but he accidentally takes Bagwell out with a pump kick. The cat and Brian Christopher take Stevie Ray out while Bagwell takes a double Uranagi slam, and our match ends with a Tennessee Jam from Grandmaster Sexay. A rip-off version of James Brown I Feel Good plays in the arena before Christopher grabs a microphone. He calls the Starettes into the ring along with a bunch of kids, and we get the Too Cool dance routine while Disco Inferno ironically says there's no place for this in a wrestling ring, completely forgetting that his name's Disco Inferno. After complaining about the dancing in the ring, Disco jumps inside the ropes to show these guys how it's supposed to be done, though he ends up getting taken out by Christopher and Miller before the kids start beating him up. I mean, I don't want to sound like an old stuck in the mud saying his kids are having fun here, but actually no, this fucking sucks. What am I watching and why am I watching it? Bocce Allen Funk says he's sold out arenas around the world. He's slammed giants, and now he's going to take care of Quebecer Pierre and make PCO feel the power of Funkamania. I don't want anyone to get hurt, of course, but I'm curious if Allen Funk's going to drop his opponent on his head multiple times again in this match. That last WWA bout he had against Reno was absolutely brutal. Pierre tells the people to stand up for the Canadian national anthem, and our clueless ring announcer snatches the microphone away to announce the arrival of Allen Funk. And we start off with Pierre in control until Funk pulls off a corner clothesline. The Funkster then tries to body slam his opponent, but Pierre knows this dude's pretty dangerous. The move doesn't happen, and instead Pierre goes straight back in control with a military press power slam before locking in a sleeper. Funk gets thrown to the outside, but he counters a suplex attempt. A stand-and switch allows Allen to pull off that famous Hulk Hogan springboard sunset flip, but Pierre answers with a tremendous suplex before Funk gets planted with a Michinoku driver. Pierre then pulls off a top rope leg drop in fair dues. PCO's doing the exact opposite of Buff Bagwell, Stevie Ray and company by actually showing some very good work right about now. He then pulls off a running powerbomb before going back upstairs for the cannonball, but this is enough to make Allen funk up, and we see a pretty unique tilt-a-whirl facebuster from the Funkster. Pierre replies with a stinger splash, but it isn't enough to win the match. Allen performs a pile driver and he follows up with a big leg drop, and Allen Funk wins via pinfall. Not a great match at all, but Pierre did put on a good performance here. A hype video for Nathan Jones gets played as WWA try to convince their viewers at home that Nathan's actually a good worker. When we come back to the arena, Scott Steiner walks out along with Midajah, and hey, let's take a break and listen to what Scotty Steiner has to say.
Now, I've been in Australia for 10 days now, traveling from Perth to Sydney to Melbourne, leaving in my wake a long list of freaks that went down under. Seen every night that I took them to the mountaintop and they reached the big O and they found Nirvana, they all called me the big bad booty daddy. See, when they rode the legend, they found out what it's like to be with a real man. They found out what it's like to be satisfied by a real man, not any of you Australian assholes that play your sissified sports such as cricket, rugby, and Australian rules football.
Oh, come on, Steiner. Those are
It seems like you men here in Australia have a problem with your manhood. So I came here for 2 reasons: to win the world title and hopefully beat somebody up from Australia. Now, since Nathan Jones is from Australia, I'm going to get it all accomplished in one match. Matter of fact, I'm going to beat him so quick, I'm going to go in the crowd and beat up you punk ass.
Wow, he's going to beat up somebody from the crowd.
Out comes Nathan Jones, and the two decide they are going to fight right now instead of waiting until the main event. But then Commissioner Sid shows up. Can't believe I'm saying that, Commissioner Sid. And Sid tells Nathan to calm down and wait for the match a little later on. Scott says the last time he saw Sid, he broke the big man's leg and his spirit. I think you'll find that Sid done that all by himself, mate. And Sid says the last time he saw Big Papa Pump was when the Millennium Man wiped his ass. His own ass, not Scotty's. Mr. Vicious announces he's going to be the ringside enforcer for the main event. He then tries to get a Nathan chant going and it doesn't work. It's very awkward. So yeah, brilliant, who cares? Next up, it's the final of the Cruiserweight title tournament, AJ Styles versus Jerry Lynn. Disco says AJ was announced at £215 earlier tonight, but now he's £214. But AJ was really announced at $214 in both matches, so Disco Inferno's just talking shit. Headlock takeover from Lynn. AJ swats away a dropkick before missing a dropkick of his own. Styles backflips out of a wristlock, but Lynn pulls off a big snapmare. Some great counters in the corner, ends with both guys going for arm drags, and Lynn applies an armbar. A great spot here that you don't see too often. AJ cartwheels out of a monkey flip, but he pays for it with a clothesline. We then see a backbreaker from Lynn, followed by a bow and arrow submission that Disco called a surfboard. Lynn then gets AJ up in the vertebraker position, but he decides to stretch AJ out with a submission hold, and AJ shows off his athleticism by countering a German suplex with a Hurricane Rana. Already, this is the best match on the show, and I don't think anyone's going to top this. The back and forth action continues with a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker from Lynn and a styling DDT from AJ. It was a bit ropey, but he got there in the end. We then see a standing sidekick from Styles, but Lynn gets up and AJ takes a Northern Light suplex into the corner. Lynn then finds himself on the outside, and this is prime time for AJ to go airborne. Styles just makes it look so effortless. We can see Jerry's bleeding from the mouth as AJ brings him back in the ring, and after a powerbomb counter from Lynn, we get into a few pin attempts with neither man scoring a victory. This sequence ends with AJ getting dropped on his neck following a German suplex, but AJ's not out yet and the match continues on. Styles turns a suplex into a neckbreaker before going for a running crucifix powerbomb. Lynn counters it before pulling off a sit-down powerbomb. Lynn then looks to end it and he hits his cradle piledriver, but AJ kicks out and Jerry can't believe it. This leads to AJ pulling off a Styles clash. Lynn kicks out at 2, so both guys are going to have to dig down deep to win this one. Sensational match right here at WWA Eruption. AJ goes upstairs, Lynn wakes up, Styles pushes his opponent back down, and AJ lands the spiral tap. AJ wins via pinfall, and this was a very, very good match. AJ gets handed that ugly championship belt for all his hard work, and Lynn shows the new champion some respect by raising his hand in victory. It's no wonder WWE tried to sign AJ in 2002. Styles said he didn't want to move and disrupt his family life. His wife's dream of becoming a teacher was more important than beginning developmental work with WWE, but after the run he's had, it definitely all worked out for the best. Next up, we've got a Sabu vs Devon Storm rematch, only this time it's inside a steel cage. You can only win this one via pinfall or submission, I think. This one's bound to get mental, and I find myself wanting to skip through until the violence gets turned up to 11, but there's some good spots in the early going, such as Sabu's smooth springboard DDT and Devon Storm ramming his opponent back first over and over again into the cage. Check out this dropkick from Devon too. I thought Sabu was going to fall through the cage. Sabu's been busted open and Storm pulls off a top rope splash that again looked pretty damn good. Sabu stops another aerial attack with a top rope Frankensteiner, and things then get a bit crazy when Sabu uses a scalpel. The referee's forced to take it away, and unfortunately Devon doesn't really sell the attack. Instead, he gets up and he delivers a superplex to Sabu before grabbing a steel chair. Sabu takes multiple shots before Devon utilizes the chair while performing a German suplex. The chair then gets wedged in the corner, but it's Devon who takes all the impact, and Sabu then launches the chair into his opponent's face before delivering Air Sabu. This happens again while Storm stuck between the cage and the ring ropes, and Sabu continues to excite with an Arabian facebuster before going all the way to the top of the cage for a moonsault. He misses his target, but still very, very impressive. Storm delivers a Death Valley driver onto the steel chair before leaving the cage. The furniture gets rearranged with a steel barrier getting set up at the ring steps. Sabu then dives out of the cage door before setting up a table on the outside, but it's Devon who delivers the impact with a suplex onto the steel barrier. Devon begins pulling out more tables while also keeping Sabu at bay. Those tables get stacked up and Sabu takes a DDT on the floor. Storm then puts his opponent on top of the stacked tables before climbing the cage, and holy shit, Devon jumps off the cage right through his opponent. Absolutely ridiculous. The referee looks to stop the match, but Sid sends another referee out to announce the match must continue on. So Sabu summons his inner Hulk Hogan with a glorious no-sell as he dashes into the ring to set up another table. Devon closes the door in Sabu's face. He then picks up that chair and he smacks Sabu once, twice, but not thrice, because Sabu throws a fireball in his opponent's face. I legit didn't see that coming, and neither did Devon Storm. Devon gets put on the table, Sabu climbs to the top of the cage, we see a moonsault that doesn't break that table, so Sabu goes up again and the match ends after he delivers a leg drop. I enjoyed this match way more than I thought I would. Their last match at Revolution was decent too, but I think both men surpassed that performance with this steel cage bout at Eruption. I'm not sure if Disco's putting the match over though, or if he legitimately thought it was too much. He talks about someone potentially getting hurt by competing in these kind of matches, while also saying it's too sick and violent. In the same breath though, he called Sabu vs Devon Storm incredible and unbelievable. So Disco, pick a lane and stick to it. We sold our sister to get these seats. Yeah, ask for a refund. I hope you can get your sister back. Now, in all seriousness, Styles vs Lynn and Sabu vs Storm were good matches, but things are going to sink fast with an evening gown match between Midajah and Queen Bea. Queen Bea's apparently an Australian penthouse model, according to Borash and Disco. And no, I didn't research this, absolutely not. So this is an evening gown match without the evening gowns. Borash goes over the rules because these are really important, aren't they? Absolute crap match right here that was won by Midajah, but after the bell, Tio and Puppet run down to remove Midajah's clothing. In most countries that would land you some serious jail time. Moving on, it's time for our main event. WWA Champion Front Row Nathan Jones versus Big Papa Pump Scotty Steiner. We've got Sid serving as our special guest ring enforcer, and it looks like Midajah got her clothes back, thank God. Tiny Stone's Nathan Jones comes out looking like the guy you fight in a video game before you fight the actual final boss. And look, he's even got some sick pyro that Scotty Steiner couldn't care less about. Scott wipes his ass with the Australian flag. Sid takes the flag for future reference. And here we go. This can't be good, can it? Steiner gets in a cheap shot, but mobile phone Nathan Jones comes back with a few punches, followed by a hip toss. The big man looks incredibly stiff, and his shoulder blocks right here look like they have zero impact. Steiner talks trash to fans at ringside before getting back inside the ropes. Jones gets brought to the corner for a few chops and a few clubbing blows. In front row, Nathan Jones almost finds himself in the front row after getting thrown out of the ring. As Big Papa Pump celebrates with a few push-ups, Game of Thrones Nathan Jones comes back with a slingshot clothesline. He then performs a big boot, and I don't know what it is, but our guy isn't the most, he's not the most graceful, is he? I mean, neither Scott Steiner, but it feels like Nathan should be in training or something. It's hard to describe. Nathan gets shoved out of the ring, and Jonesy Boy gets thrown into the barrier with a lot of force. Scott gets back in the ring to once again celebrate his small victory, and Nathan looks like he's on another planet as he gets back inside the ring. A backbreaker from Big Papa Pump gets followed up with a clothesline and an elbow drop, textbook Steiner offense, and the arrogant Big Bad Booty Daddy gives us a few more push-ups before jaw-jacking the crowd. Smoke a cone, Nathan Jones takes a boot to the face. We see Scott's belly to belly. Nathan gets stretched out a bit, but he shows his unbreakable Aussie spirit by getting to his feet. Scott's like, "Not today, my guy," and Jones takes a low blow. We see a rare sharpshooter from Big Papa Pump, and it's nearly as bad as the Rock sharpshooter. Hard to tell which is worse, but let me know in the comments. The unbelievable action continues with a bear hug from Scotty Steiner, and there's an overhead belly to belly. That's the kind of offense we want to see. Slide trombone Nathan Jones is getting his ass handed to him here. The guy's supposed to be the champion, and he's done absolutely nothing so far except for that slingshot clothesline. He tries to shut me up with a sidewalk slam, but I'm going to need to see more than that, matey. So he pulls off a clothesline, and that elbow drop looked hilarious. He then goes up to the top rope, and oh, fuck me. WWA Heavyweight Champion, ladies and gents. You know what, Nathan? Just stick to clotheslines, lad. They may look crap, but at least you won't hurt yourself, I hope. Garden Gnome Nathan Jones goes for a choke slam. Scott grabs Nathan by the neck also. Midajah jumps on Nathan's back and she gets put on the mat by the champion. While the referee's not paying attention, Steiner hits Jones with the WWA title belt. The cameras missed this, by the way. And Scott then goes for an illegal pin, but Nathan kicks out. Sid entered the ring prematurely to warn the ref about the illegal pin, so Steiner tells Sid to stay out of his business before getting caught in a small package. Scott kicks out, he also kicks out of a backslide, and Nathan gets slammed to the mat before Steiner goes upstairs. Homegrown Nathan Jones catches Steiner out. We see the choke slam. He goes for the cover, but Midajah runs in to beat the crap out of the referee. So Sid comes in, he grabs Midajah by the hair, he sets her up for a powerbomb, but referees run down to remind the big man that he's got a bad leg. And while all this was going down, Scott hits Nathan with the belt before locking in the recliner. No one home, Nathan Jones gets knocked out, and we have a new WWA champion denied at Eruption. Scott Steiner defeats Nathan Jones, and the era of Big Papa Pump begins in World Wrestling All-Stars. What a terrible match. Nathan Jones just wasn't good, was he? I'm sorry, he's not good. Scott makes Sid raise his hand in victory. Sid says he'll do it because he did win the match. Sid lives up to his word while saying he hopes Scott would do the same thing if the big man ever got the chance to wrestle again. And Scott says nah, he'll instead break Sid's leg again should the opportunity present itself. Scott heads back up the ramp and our dollar store volcano erupts again. They really thought they did good with that crappy art project, didn't they? He then walks back down to talk more trash because there must have been too much pay-per-view runtime left. And Scott tells Sid to stop hiding behind his little injury, while Sid says, in a very long-winded way, that it could be Scott who ends up with a broken leg should these two ever meet up in the ring. As mentioned, the Cruiserweight final match was excellent and I enjoyed Sabu vs Devon Storm more than I thought I would. The Cruiserweight semi-finals are way too short but still enjoyable for what they were. The rest was pretty terrible. The Buff Bagwell tag team match was atrocious with some of those veterans getting really lazy. The PCO match wasn't terrible but that was thanks to PCO. The gimmick matches brought the show way down and the main event was brutal thanks to the champion just not being all that good. Still, the matches that are good are really good, and if you have the time, I highly recommend checking out AJ vs Jerry Lynn at your earliest convenience. Next up, we'll check out WWA Retribution if I didn't get ripped off on that DVD I purchased. So I'll see you all again very soon for more WWA bollocks. Take care, everyone.